do, 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 do. All right, buddy. There we are. It says that I'm live. I think I'm alive. Let me see. I am. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Actually, yes, I was actually deep in reading and literally forgot about time. Oh, what a coincidence. You know, how much time do we have left? That's the question. Oh, we'll get into that. So welcome, Soul Tribe and all the rest. Hello, Guy and Paul. How are you? And hello, all the moderators. Robert V is in the house. How you doing, my friend? David Castle, kind soul. How are you? Joe Sapien. How you doing, brother? I have the Maelstrom and everybody else who's piling in, I guess, right? Let me disengage that, and that way I can get over here, and we are good to go. So yeah, I was deep in thought, actually, I tell you what I was reading. Um, Fantastic book. This is the book of Solomon's Magic. And there's a lot of interesting things in this book. There's one in particular. You have to allow me. Anyway, we'll get to it because it's relevant to what we're going to be discussing. But I'll just say favor over us all. BOSTO, be of service to yourself, then you can be of service to others. Happy birthday to those who are having one. Happy birthday, Dad. He's passed on over. So, isn't it amazing? We still remember our loved ones' birthdays. It's like, yeah, well, Dad was still alive. Yeah, that's how it is. Hey, Martin, Heidi, how y'all doing? Good to see you. Susie Q, hello. Thank you, dear. Let's see what else. Hello, beloved abstract. What's up? Pamela G, how are you? I do not like Solomon in the Bible for some reason. Well, I can understand that. I really can. Here, think about that. The whole construct is that Solomon, apparently, was granted his wish. There's a lot of Arabic culture in it too, into Solomon. And apparently God granted Solomon, said, whatever you want, it's yours. Solomon, supposedly being the son of David, King David, King David was a reprobate. Solomon was too, couldn't think about it. But anyway, and the story goes that, supposedly Solomon, as a young boy, said, well, I'd like to have wisdom to rule your people. And so impressed God that God granted him not only his request, but gave him a double portion. And the interesting thing is that Solomon, if you read his life, the guy was courting all the time. It's said that he had 300 wives, 700 concubines. I mean, I'm like everybody else. Sex is groovy. It's a good thing. It's one of the things that, in these bodies that we can really dig over the spirits, But, he may have been a wise dude. I don't know. That many women. My question is, what the hell were you thinking, dude? But anyway, the thing about Solomon is that he built this, the temple. And if you'll read in Second Chronicles, I believe, the construction of the temple, it's very interesting. If you take the religious out of it, just try to take it for the context from an architectural point of view, whatever was in that Holy of Holies that he built, that was no religious place. That was a power generator. Read it. If you find the construction of it was so detailed, the type of wood that was used, and remember, that room was covered in solid gold. The floors, the ceilings, there were no windows. Everything it was all covered in gold. And then when you put that Ark of the Covenant inside it, And the way that those cherubim wings, that was an electrical conducer. That's what it was, conducting vast amounts of energy. Kind of tells me a lot about who and what the Elohim are. So anyway, I digress, but thank you for that wonderful journey down that, because Solomon's magic. I mean, so in here, if you've ever read the Song of Solomon, it would be considered today, if you read it on YouTube, you probably have, you'd definitely be age restricted. But it's real interesting how he writes about women, sex. A lot of sex with Solomon. And that should tell all of the magi's that are here, both men and women, in the spirit, we all are seeking the same thing. It should tell us something. And I've been hesitant to put anything on YouTube. I guess I'll start on another platform. But there is a lot to sex magic. I just got to tell you, it's a deep subject. I've got volumes on it. And if you correlate this was not in the plan today to talk about. But anyway, with Solomon, it would make sense now. If he was using sex as part of his magic, which he was, then there has to be something very powerful, because if he could do that, incorporating that, then Lucky Stone, this is for you, brother. Then the 72 names, the 72 spirits of the brass vassal is quite interesting, because I have drawn not this exact circle, and I'll show it to you. These are powerful knowledge. There we go. This is true occultism. I mean, the way I look at it, if you're looking for the hidden wisdom, then Solomon is in here. I mean, we have Baal, we have Vesargo, we have Agarus. I know what they are. For instance, the second spirit is the Duke called Agrius or Agarus. He is under the power of the East and comes up in the form of an old fair man riding upon a crocodile, carrying a goshawk upon his fist. Yet mild in appearance, he makes them to run that stand still and bring back runaways. He teaches all languages or tongues presently. He has the power also to destroy dignitaries, both spiritual and temporal, and can cause earthquakes. He was the order of virtues of the ancient ones. Holy, what? He hath under his government 31 legions of spirits, and this is his seal or character, which thou shalt wear as a layman before thee. This week, if you've been looking for some really deep stuff, man, we have been covering it here. And anyway, when you take this in conjunction with the lesser keys of Solomon, and actually I have this one, I do believe, on PDF. In fact, I think I actually got this one up here. We'll get back to the regular program, but I think this is pretty cool to go into now. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. So I did the whole series on the talisman. These are the first, you see, I have the fourth pinnacle of Jupiter behind me. Now, again, I had the PDF on how to pronunciate properly these words. That is a huge key to many of you who have been looking for things, because now you can actually practice this. And if you're into conjuring spirits, if you're into binding spirits to do your will, this is how it's done. It's very obvious that they come from a region, um, a realm. And the thing about it is, you know, you can't go into a barbecue without smelling like smoke. It's just truth. And if you go into this path, and there's nothing right or wrong with it, it's just a path. There are many different paths. Understand this. You really need to understand the actors, who the characters are, because these are powerful names. And once you learn to speak them correctly, you're creating a frequency, and it will actually begin to generate a harmonic field around you. This has been proven, and it really kind of took me aback. And again, how this was done, it was very interesting. As many of you, if you follow the Skinwalker Ranch series on the History Channel, it was very interesting that they proved these words. And it's not these exact words, but it is these words that's used in the invocation of creating a portal. Now, I've known this for nearly 40 years. Had a very close rabbi who taught me a lot of things about Judaism that most Gentiles don't ever know. Most Christians never are ever there because, well, the mindset won't allow it. But the point is, these are the different names. And again, go back and look in the series. This is, if you're looking for talisman that work, you will begin to now understand the language and how to begin to do the phonetic enunciation. You're going to be opening up some powerful stuff. It says, if you have studied seals before, you will recognize the very famous Satar square. This square is ancient since they have found the square in a few ancient sites. More specifically, first in the ruins of Pompeii. It is mentioned the most in the book on Magick from the medieval period. Although there are several traditions on the square and its function, some believe it has general magical powers, and therefore, in this seal, it is meant as an enhancer. There are 25 letters in the square. This will become important in a moment. The Hebrew verse around it is from Psalm 72:8. May he rule from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. In Hebrew, that verse also contains 25 letters. Yeah. Anyway, wasn't planning on that, but hey, someone needed to hear that. The way I kind of look at it, we're all on the path, and we kind of go with the flow. So totally bonus. So cheers, man. It's been hot here. How about there? Where y'all are at? Let's see. I like that. I'm just reading some of the comments. I love the comments. I love the people in there. Y'all are the best. In fact, y'all are more well known than I think any other place. I hear it all the time. What is it with those people in there? They're the nicest people. They're knowledgeable. They have this ability, you know. And I said, yeah. There's a lot of advanced souls in here. If you're looking for, you know, knowledge, gnosis, this group here, all I got to say, the day we all get together, and it will happen, I've spoken it, you heard it, now you'll speak it and you'll think it, it will happen. It starts the chain of events. Yeah, I think I dare say, I believe there would be some UFOs, and I think a lot of spirit orbs. That's all I got to say. So, yes, please hit the like button. Thank you, Belanca. How are you, my dear? Hey, Lost in Space. What's happening? Trailblazing RN. How are you? 70s there in Maine. Well, thank you very much. It's going to be 70s here. I'm calling it in. I have focused it in, and so I'll let y'all know the story. But welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Not nor. Smash that like button. There you go. Indeed, indeed. So tonight on the Steiger Perspective, artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. my town here in the Mountain West. Tune in. The tonight show is titled A Dangerous Game. And there's a dangerous game afoot. There is. It's ay, 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 ay. All right. So I've met Ben Davidson, have a lot of respect, love the guy. I think his work is phenomenal. And he put out I think really a stunner of a video yesterday. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Like I said, I don't question Ben's integrity. He is on top of what he knows, and I respect that. And quite frankly, I have learned an immense amount of knowledge because of Ben Davidson. And his show last night, okay, Shannon, that is fantastic. Coming up to Cure. All right, well, let me know about that. Anyway, yeah, a lot of people have seen it. And, I'm glad Ben put it out there. I mean, I applaud him. I think that, again, something has changed, and he was right. I'll be 66 on Saturday, June 19th. Hey, my birthday is now going to be a national holiday. That's pretty cool. So anyway, but I have seen the sun change. It's not the same sun that I remember as a child. When I grew up on the farm down in Texas, I can remember even in the height of summer, we worked in the garden, and we had an acre garden, and my dad saw it as free labor. And my brother and I would literally weed one row and then do another. And by the time we got to the end of the garden, it was time to start all over again, and along with the other chores. But my point is, the sun wasn't like it is now. There is the stinging aspect to our sun. So our sun has changed composition. In my lifetime, I have seen it, and so have you. If you were born in the 50s, the 40s, you specifically grew up under a different sun than the one that we have today. We now know that the chemical composition of the sun is changing. And all the indications are, I think Ben laid it out. Just go watch the video. We entered into this sheet about 1869, 1859, whenever the Carrington event was. That was our first hello, we're here. But we didn't know about such things. Hell, we were just figuring out what electricity was. Still hadn't figured it out. But, we did have the telegraph. Yeah, that began to do some things, and it fried all of the telegraph lines, started fires, and that was before the modern age. So we know that that's when our magnetopause started weakening, and it's been all downhill since then. And by Ben's estimation, and by the scientists that he deals with, and I think some of the best experts in the field, we've got 10 years before our sun does what every star has been showing in our quadrant of space. They've discovered now that Betelgeuse micronova, it's what we witnessed in December. Ben called it out. He said, this looks like what a micronova would look like. Betelgeuse is a big star, big sucker. I think it's as big as our solar system. So 10 years. What do y'all think? Well, thank you, Cheryl. Very kind of you, dear. Thank you. So it got me to thinking, well, I left the whole Planet X Nibiru thing. Not that there's not changes taking place. There's a lot of changes taking place. Our solar system is, we think it's in this completely stable, synchronous orbit. Evidence says no. 70,000 years ago, we know that most likely a brown dwarf star passed through our solar system, causing havoc, changed us 70,000 years ago. Anthropologists estimate that's when we began to speak. We learned the vocal box. And once we began to speak and utter words and communication, boom, that was a huge leap in evolution. Which tells me that they say that the, Nibiru actually just means wandering planet or wandering star. There's a lot of them out there. So we didn't know about this galactic sheet. Had I been reading this in 2012, 2013, that there was a galactic sheet that we were in, it would have brought into clarity a lot more balance. It means that it emanates from the center of our galactic core. It's a cycle that our system goes through as all the stars around us. So 10 years. And so I began to think about this. I said, all right, where was these deities 70,000 years ago? Let's get real brutally honest. Where was God? Because that wasn't no freaking garden that they came out of 70,000 years ago. It was the entrance of sapiens. It's estimated that we came on the scene about 200,000 years ago. We began to make our impact on all the homogeneouses of our species. And by 70,000 years ago, we were well on our way of decimating, putting to extinction, all the other homogeneuses of our species. The question is, did Cro-Magnon man, did Neanderthals, did they speak? Did they have the intelligence of the voice? Time changes. We know that 12,000 years ago, our planet took an Elia event, an Earth eliminating life event. When I was studying the Bible school, and all the commentaries, and I was, getting acquainted with Latin, Hebrew has always been a challenge. And even though I have, in my blood, my DNA, I'm 1.1% Jew. So there you go. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. But I knew that in the book of Genesis, and I didn't know at that time that the book of Genesis was lifted from the Epic of Gilgamesh, because there was no Jewish God 70,000 years ago. There was no Jewish God 12,000 years ago. But we do know this, that mankind was here. We have records that said something kicked our ass. Whether it was a comet that was caused by something that veered into our planet, was it because of this galactic sheet that comes through that causes all these causation effects? Don't know. All we know is that Earth, man survived, but wasn't a whole lot of us. And it's clearly in the book of Genesis. You get the story of Genesis 1:26 and Genesis 2:7. You got two different genesis of Homo sapiens here. They're not the same. The Genesis 1:26 people were before the last cataclysm. The world was different. Didn't look like this. We know this because it's written again in Genesis 2:4 that the earth was burnt. Well, wait a minute. We read in chapter 1 that it was this tropical paradise. Well, not after the event. Many say it could have been potentially a shift in the magnetic poles. The Magick observation group over in England, they came out today, and this is very troubling. Our magnetic North Pole in the month of May moved 5.2 miles. Folks, this has been consistent now for at least the last 6-7 months. The Earth right now has what they call a dipole magnetic poles. We have 4 different poles right now. Now, our compass, as the gentleman will tell you over there, is that we center in the strongest one. But we have 4 magnetic poles. Things are happening. But getting back to what this thing come again, I love the occult. I love studying about the spirit realm because I know this physical realm is a temporal illusion. It's as real can be, but it's not real. Everything in it is real, but that's just it. We're immersed into it. It seems our natural state is a state of spiritual essence more than physical, corporeal existence. So if we got 10 years, let's just say hypothetically, the clock is running. So what are you going to do with the 10 years? I mean, really, what are you going to do? Are you still going to be a human being that cannot control anything? They can't control emotions. They can't control anything about their lives. Or are you going to be the Gnostic seeker and say, well, if the eventual ticket is that the destination is going to be on the other side, all right, I can dig that. How can I use that to my advantage? Well, I've decided in my quest, and forsaking all other things, is to find out what is this hidden knowledge? Why is it hidden? I mean, it apparently has a great impact on our reality. And if my destination is on the other side, which it is, I don't even have any question about that. I know that. I don't fear it. I used to fear it. That's the problem with religions. The fear is the elixir. It's what those deities feed off of. Oh, they'll tell you they're kind and compassionate and merciful. Well, why do you have to be merciful to begin with? Shouldn't that be a normal state? But the fear factor, you see, that's what gives them a boner. It gets them off. It's orgasmic to them. Fear is stronger than faith. Doubt me? I can prove that over and over again. That's because most people don't build up their faith. They've built up their fear. They're experts. They're magis in the alchemy of fear. They don't even know it, but they are. And magic, a lot of magic is fear-based, particularly if you come out of that mindset. Now, I think those children who are raised in homes where the occult is taught, practiced, are the true starseeds. They will come out of this. They will be the leaders. They will be the light as this world begins to rebuild. My generation, we have done what we have done. Many of us are fulfilling what our missions were. And you know, within the next 10 years, that's within my lifetime. I know that there's going to be a longevity aspect as it runs in my family, but, you know, who knows? The day may come where I've said, screw this. And you can literally just let the spirit flow out. That's how it's naturally been done. It's supposed to be done. Not supposed to die a disease. How terrible is that? Well, what did he die of? Well, he died of life. No, I mean, what killed him? Nothing. He died of life. Well, you got to die of something. And it's true. Oh, it's a crazy, man, how we look at this. But so I study magic. I read. David Barry is much along the same lines I am, very well versed, and there are many of you as well. Blanca, you know, I've sent her virtually the whole library. It's interesting. And that's great because she passes that knowledge on to the next generation. And it's amazing because this is not taught. It's barely taught in the universities. We're lost right now. Our society, we as a species, we're lost. And people are desperate. What was traditionally that worked for millennia, it's failing. It's not working anymore. Good reason for it. The power source has been removed. Now we're in this exchange period. Who is going to be tapping in to this natural flow? Well, I believe it is occultists. They are the new teachers. They are the new philosophers. They are going to be the new doctors, the new healers. They're going to be the new statesmen and stateswomen. They're going to bring a knowledge that has been, for the most part, forgotten. And they're going to bring this knowledge, which is going to be superior to those around them. That's why they fear us. That's why they fear witches. That's why they fear warlocks. That's why they fear magi's. It scares them. I got people now who won't even stare me in the face because, you know, I'm looking on the inside, and you see it all the time. People do this, you know. Hey, buddy, keep the eyes up here. But yeah, let's see. Oh, I love that, Gaia. That is far out. She says a friend started up a school for children, a school of little twitches. Ah, I'd love to have her on. If she'd ever want to come on, I'd love to have her on, Gaia. That's what I'm talking about. You know, the knowledge is here now. It's oh, I have the other books in there, and teaching children how to become wizards. Listen, you know, the Harry Potter series, Rawlings did a great job. I mean, she revolutionized humanity. Hiya, Krista, what's up? Good to see you, my dear. And she started something. And it started, and the problem was that the knowledge that she was bringing forth went up against a wall of an energy that had, and as she has said it herself, that has been here for a very long time. And this wall is oppressive. It doesn't want this type of knowledge. And if it ever gets into the children with their freedom, they're not hung up. They have the natural psychic abilities that we all have. We just forgot them, and the density of this realm strips us of it. Very hard to concentrate in telepathy when you're dealing in the densities of the frequencies of this realm. But if the children ever get a hold of this, they will change the world, you know? Harry Potter. You know, I do believe, beloved abstract, I do believe. Colonel Potter. Yeah. Who would have thought? Now that's this cool. I love these. See, this group's got a good sense of humor, but absolutely. All right. So, man, too hot for hot tea today, that's for sure. And I love this. I love the fact that, not everyone is, adaptive to this knowledge. That's cool. But I do appreciate that we are allowed the platform that we can talk about this. Because when you talk about magic, true magic, it's above religion, it's above politics, it's above culture. And it's the thing that, fairy tales are made of. The stories of once where we as a species walked around as the natural gods that we are. The stories of the Titans, the stories of, the past cultures of their plethora of gods. I believe in many cases, those were just human beings. I mean, if you mastered, for instance, telekinesis, you'd be considered a god. If you could master the art of telepathy and being able to actually read the other person's thoughts and intents, you'd be a god. If you could lay your hands upon a person and they saw a light emanating from your hand and then that person was healed, you'd be considered a god. But that's what we are. Anyway, enchanté. Yes, exactly. We don't know if our souls are eternal. I agree. I contend, I go back to Socrates where, even Aristotle, I don't believe we have a soul. I think we have emotions that we have bound as a soul. I'm not sure a spirit being would actually need a soul. I don't know. Maybe the soul is the vessel that contains the essence of the experience of the individual. I don't know. Does a God need emotion? That's the question I have. Does greater intelligence require emotion? I say not. But that's just me. I'm just reading here. Jack Streaming says, yeah, yes, it's interesting. Telepathic connection with one of his cats or her cats. Yeah. I have the same thing with Dancer. I practice on Dancer all the time. And I find that when I concentrate, and I have to keep the image very simple to what the words that she knows, her vocabulary is limited, obviously. But yeah, my wife has noticed it because Dancer will come into my office. And if I'm typing or reading, she will sit there and stare at me, and I will inevitably look up, and there she is. And I immediately know what she's wanting, either food or she's wanting to go outside. This is a smart group. Y'all are really groovy people. So wanted to pull up some stuff that, getting back into some, I found this document. It's kind of cool, at least, I think it is, because I love reading this. This is a document called Satanic Witches. And I love the artistry that they put into their poems. This is a collection of poems by witches, satanic witches. And we all know, right? Just people hear this. There is no actual Satan. You do realize that. I know many people have a difficult time with this. Satan is a construct. It's a thought form. And it's been branded by one side as evil, and then the other side, it's been branded as good. Again, it's just your perspective. Anyway, I love this one. I chose this one because of the force of disbelief. And it struck me that most of us, well, many,
Again, I said earlier that more people have their fear developed than their faith. And if you have and are motivated and moved by fear, and many times, listen, if you come out of a fear doctrine, you're going to have to fight it. It is in fact you. It is your own angel. It's your own demon, however you want to do it. You have to go at battle. Kill it. Disbelief. But listen to this. The force of disbelief. The greatest weakness of the firm religions is their firm belief in something they can't prove. A loose idea they took for granted and set up as an authority to use for mass control, forbidding the admittance or the harboring of any doubt, while doubt is what confirms and purifies the knowledge that must always be subjected to investigation, challenged, and the severest of criticism. The disbelievers carry on by criticizing, never taking anything for granted, but always checking and rechecking any evidence, conclusions, and assumptions for what they are worth, and usually almost nothing holds but darkness. That's the ultimate resource of power, reinvigoration of infinity of energy, the black hole of despair, discomfort, failure, ruin, and adversity. There is nothing more beguiling or more fatal than the false security of absolute belief, which only will appear and have its course to absolute destruction and defeat. While the eternal doubt and hesitation will continue forward, always up and on, across all obstacles, adversaries, and trials for life's training and eternal education. I kind of like this. I mean, this is a great book of poetry. I mean, it's a long one, but it's one well worth it. A lot of different customs that are taught here. If you are a witch or wizard, magi, if you're looking for a good read, a good adding to your occult gnosis, this is a good one. Here's one. You see, and then, you know, my Lord of darkness, my soul belongs entirely to him, and no one else can share it, except those who share the same commitment for eternity to darkness and its power, serving him by creativity and magic. Covered up in mystery of anonymity, the veil of darkness being unpregnable except by him, his influence and power. As a force, it is a constructive only. Therefore, it keeps hiding in humility, for not imposing its superiority, controlling gently its supremacy, allowing the initiate to discover for himself the obvious and self-evident infinity of the resources of his mind, permeating and transcending everything by the black magic of his enigmatic creativity. My only honor is to be his priestess, all his own and no one else's, as a servant, mistress, almost like a bride, but all in black in a dark wedding that will glorious go on forever. And again, we've talked about this here. The fact is that it's a matter of your perspective. I contend, and I haven't had anyone yet to be able to prove me counter on this. In the beginning was darkness. And if that was in the beginning by all cultures, religions, philosophies, ideologies, then darkness is the natural state of being. You can't sleep in the light. You can only sleep in the darkness. Now, people don't come in and get me all into the details of it. It's a generalized statement. We humans have a natural circadian rhythm that we have to sleep in darkness. You'll go crazy if you're sleep deprived. But anyway, So if darkness is the natural state. Now, I have one here, and like I said, I got so wrapped up earlier. I'm not going to have time. May do this tomorrow. I'm going to be on tomorrow. I wanted to bring this to the group. So this is a paper titled "The Reptile Brain, Mammal Heart, and Sometimes Perplexing Mind of Jurors Towards a Triune Trial Strategy." This book was written by an attorney, lawyers that do court battles, take their cases before juries. And you're going to go, so, all right, so now Steiger, how does this have anything in relevance? I'm glad you asked. Sip. That's good. So in law school, they are now beginning to teach that humans have reptile brains. And in fact, as an attorney, if you can learn this, you're going to win more cases on all of your opponents. In the Reptile Manual, the author frames trial strategy in terms of reptilian survival. Why? Because they say a juror sees you, plaintiff's counsel, as a menace to their survival. B, it is too late to respond with logic alone or even with emotion. And therefore, C, to prevail, plaintiff's attorneys must frame their case to activate. You ready for this? Get this, folks. Stop here. Listen to this. To activate jurors' reptilian survival mode. They really get into this, folks, in a way that is quite remarkable. Listen to this. In its evolution, the human brain has developed to its great size while retaining the chemical features and patterns of an anatomical organization of the three basic formulations characterized by as reptilian, paleomammalian, and neomammalian. Now, he goes on to say, taking an evolutionary approach to neurobiology, proposed that the human brain three distinct evolutionary parts or layers, which he describes as reptilian, paleomammalian, neomammalian. McLean began to use the terms triune brain. How many of you have heard that term? I looked around and it's new, meaning 3 in 1. To illustrate that the three parts intermesh and function together, thus, although they can operate somewhat independently, they cannot function autonomously. The reptilian brain, or the R complex, is composed of the most primitive structures of the brain. It regulates organisms' daily routines, and it displays behaviors. It means of communication, which include territorial and mating displays. It contains primitive systems related to fear, anger, and basic sexuality. McLean believes it also involved in the struggle of power, adherence to routine, imitation, obedience to precedents, and deception. These are innate, indistinguishable routines and behaviors that enable the organism to survive and procreate. Isn't it an amazing thing that you and I have between our ears? It's complex, baby. It is the original supercomputer. He goes on to say, not surprisingly, automatic fight, flight, or freeze reactions to dangers are also part of the reptilian brain, although not exclusively. It is this response that Ball and Kenyon focus in on, the innate fight or flight instinct of the reptile, that which needs neither emotion nor logic. In extreme cases, it can indeed take over the brain, That response to accurate stress triggers a shift in blood flow from the upper areas of the brain to the body, preparing it for escape. The opposition reaction is freezing, another adaptive behavior. Ball and Kenyon counsel that contrasting safety with danger, even danger remote in time or probability, will impel the juror to act for her own or his survival. Now, it goes on. This is interesting, folks, because they have scientifically data mapped this. And when you begin to understand that we still can't figure this whole thing out. And people say, well, why are you so much into, the hidden knowledge? Are you kidding me? We're figuring out that we've got a freaking brain that has been obviously either by the same architectural firm or architect that said, well, this works pretty good here. I think I'm going to put this here and this here human. And then we want to know why throughout mankind's history we worship the snake. I don't know. You think there may be a slight, how should we say, compelling draw towards this? He goes on to talk about the three states of the brain: the reptilian brain, the palomammalian brain, the neomammalian brain. And it's quite interesting because, so let's go to the reptilian brain. The primary function, it regulates the body and generates immediate survival reaction. Its characteristics generates the fight, flight, and freeze response, shifting blood flow from the cerebral cortex for fast physical reaction and immediate survival. Now, the palomammalian brain, it generates basic emotions and memories and vocal communications. Its characteristics is that it gives fear, anger, happiness, sadness, and disgust a sense of self and bond with the empathy for others. Now you have the neomammalian brain, which basically processes information from and direct the rest of the brain using sophisticated reasoning. And its characteristics is allows us to learn complex concepts, reason about our experience, and develop a moral framework. Kind of looks like ascension, doesn't it? I'm just saying, if you just look at this from a certain perspective, I could say, well, and we could add additional boxes and squares to this. By the way, isn't that great? The neomammalian brain. I love that word. It just kind of flows off of the tongue. I love that. So anyway, and I see I'm running out. Well, we had other things to cover. I was going to get into, again, the manifestation of intent for personal and mutual benefit. I'll probably cover this tomorrow. This one begins to teach the techniques of advanced concentration. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. So anyway, not for everybody. I get it. But for those of us, and we shouldn't be, marginalized because, everyone has their path. I can dig that. I've been on lots of them. And it's not always what it was promised to be. But that's life. And isn't that what it's about? You can't be angry about it. You can't be bitter about it. It's just part of the journey. And there are some people who are just they're so negative they don't even know it. And then when they come up against your personality, it's really it's like, okay, yeah, this is it's a problem here. And that has always been a challenge for me in life, because it's that time when you just, there's just some people that they just don't like you. And let me read what this is. Well, thank you, Antiquarian. appreciate that. That's very kind of you. All of you. That is so, Duck. That is so kind of you. But yeah, so getting back to that, it's becoming more distinctful. I relayed a story tonight on the Steiger perspective that we've got to change this. Our culture is becoming so divisive, and the divisions are becoming ever deeper and ever broader. And I was relaying a encounter I had with an individual. It's a place where I go to do commerce for well over 16, 17 years. And there's been an individual in there that I was quite surprised when I engaged into a very casual conversation. And this individual, and it's sad, sees everything through the lens of racism, division amongst the species. Different colors means different cultures, different attitudes. And the person was trying to draw me into agreeing. Don't ever agree with people. If you disagree, do not agree. You're making a covenant, a contract into the fact that the this racism is widespread. And I said, I don't see it that way. He says, well, you're white. And I said, yeah. He says, well, let me guess, you were a CEO. And I said, yeah. He says, see? I said, no, let me tell you something. When I was 12, my father almost beat me to death. Took me over 6 months to learn how to walk again. I was put into a state home for abused children. And the children were of all colors, all races, all background. And I looked at them and I said, one thing I can tell you, child violence is colorblind. Shut them down. I said, I grew up. My roommate was black and Hispanic. I said, we didn't see each other as, a race. We were all hurting. And I said, if humans can just remember that, I said, the problem with racism is that we're all hurting. And I said, we need to do some healing. Okay, I'm just trying to read the comments. People are going on that. But seriously. And he apologized. He did. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I didn't know. And I said, that's the thing. I said, you never know what's inside the skin suit, do you? All right, folks. Well, this has been fun. And then, he said, yeah, he did say, he says, well, why aren't you bitter? He says, I've seen you for years. He says, you always have a smile on your face. And I said, because inside I'm happy. I said, I don't look at what I've gone through as a reason to blame someone. And I said, I'm not going to blame myself. I said, it was part of the journey. And I said, it's not your fault. It's not their fault. It's no one's fault. It's just the way it is. Well, I wish I could certainly think like that. And I said, you can. So anyway, keep your light shining, folks. You remember, darkness is not darkness. Light is not light. It is merely a construct that we have been taught in a physical universe to perceive the things that we see up into the sky. The natural state of things is darkness, but darkness is not dark. I don't know how to tell you that. There's actually a light there. But anyway, well, this is a beautiful Soul Tribe group. I just tell you, I deeply, deeply appreciate every one of you. I speak love in the agape sense of the word, of appreciation, the fellowship and the companionship. And it's fun. It really is. And we have a groovy group here. That's all I got to say. All right, folks, have yourself a fabulous day. And hello, Cajun Queen. How you doing, Lotus? Lois, good to see you, hon. Hey, Danny, what's up? How's the child? How is the new one? So what else is going on? Well, thank you, Woke Dealer. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll be on tomorrow. We're going to have fun. Kind of make it kind of an open day. Ask your question day. How's that? I'll just do it that way. And I'll have something. All right. Peace. Think out of the box. Keep your heart always alight and bright. And we'll do all right. Hey, that's a rhyme that always was right on time, that didn't even cost a dime. You see, when you get into the spell work, I mean, it's amazing. My wife said, would you quit this rhyming stuff? And I said, it's weird. It gets in you, man. I mean, you start reading this stuff and it's how spells work. I mean, it does. That's the trias thing, you know, but anyway. All right. Yes. Tune into the Steiger Perspective tonight. You're going to enjoy it. Hey, Trina, much love to you, dear. So much love to you, Guy and Paul. See y'all later. Martin, Heidi. Mary Smith, so good to see you, by the way. So anyway, see y'all tomorrow. Keep smiling. All right. Bye-bye.